Hi, this is Coach Jason with Win Your Days. I'm so glad you're here. Win Your Days is all about men rising up to win in life, love, and business so that you could do what you love with people you love and have the kingdom impact that you desire. Today, I want to talk to you about the two main leadership mistakes that I see leaders making, and I don't want you to make them. So grab something to write with, something to write on. Let's get going. All right, here we go. The two main leadership mistakes, the top ones that I see leaders making. And I started studying leadership back in my 20s. The first mistake that I noticed as I observed leaders around me in every field was this, that sometimes leaders stay too long. Have you ever noticed, like an athlete who should have retired a year ago but doesn't, or 2 years ago, and they just hang on and hang on? A politician, a pastor, maybe you had a teacher back in school that you're like, man, this guy, this gal, they should have retired a decade ago, but they're holding on. And sometimes leaders hold on because they grow complacent where they're at. They get comfortable with the paycheck, with the lifestyle, with the systems. They don't have to stretch, grow, challenge themselves anymore. So they sit back and they're just kind of average and biding their time. And I'm saying that's no way to live. That's no way to lead. A leader, when they hold on too long, they could begin to play it safe in life. And again, you stop challenging yourself. And when you stop challenging yourself, you stop growing as a leader. When you stop growing, you stop evolving and changing and aspiring. Like you stop becoming the man that you're capable of becoming. In order to get stronger in the weight room, what do you got to do? You got to put weight on your bar. And when you stay too long as a leader, there's no more weight being added to your bar if you know that it's time for you to go. If you're one that's grown complacent, comfortable, play it safe, and sometimes it's even laziness. I don't want to put forth the effort and the energy to go through the change. And again, I don't want that to happen to you. Sometimes a leader, a lot of times actually, the men I talk to, they'll stay in their leadership position even though they hate what they're doing. It's sucking the life out of them, but they will stay there because they're grasping onto security or safety or comfort of some sort. And again, I'm telling you, as a leader, that's no way to live your life. You always want to be growing, challenging yourself, stretching, trying new things, taking some strategic risks in life. That's what life's all about. And when we stop doing that as a man, you get this malaise over your soul. It's like you're not alive anymore. And if you're one that you hate doing what you're doing, go find. Listen, I believe a man ought to do what he loves until he doesn't love it anymore. Then go find something else that you love. And if you can't find it, go create it. God, what is the first thing that God reveals about himself is that he created the heavens and the earth. He's a creator. The first thing he reveals about you is that he created you in his image. Therefore, you've got some creative ability in you, and creativity is like a muscle. The more you use it, the stronger it gets. You've got some creative abilities in you. Go create something. Go create something that you love that makes you feel alive. But you don't want to hold on too long to the detriment of the organization and the very people that you're serving. Love the organization, love the people enough, respect them enough, and what God has called you to know when it's time to leave and go. Okay, number two. Number two is this. So some leaders, they hang on too long, but then when some leaders leave, mistake number two is they don't leave well. They don't leave well. It's a mess. Ego gets in the way, pride gets in the way, hurt feelings get in the way. Sometimes it's senioritis, right? Sometimes Sometimes no, everything, you're getting along well, with everybody, and you're leaving on a high note, but you just can't wait to get out of there. You ever have senioritis when you're in school, like when you're getting ready to graduate next month and you just want to get out of there. So you kind of check out mentally and emotionally. You're there, but you're not really there. I see that in leadership. I think that's a mistake. I think it speaks to a man's character and integrity that he shows up his best self, fully engaged, fully alive, even when he knows he's moving on. I think that's one of the hardest things, is to really give what you're doing 100% of your effort, even though you know you're moving on next week or next month or in 6 months, whatever it is. So leaders don't leave well. They kind of check out, and it gets messy, especially if pride, ego, hurt feelings are in there, because then it's just attacking. It puts a black eye on your character. So, one of the toughest things to do is to leave well, even when emotions are high, misunderstandings are there, some pride and ego, like check your ego at the door and just finish well, because it's a reflection on who you are and the man that you are and how you lead. Rise above the pettiness and lead well. And I'm going to give you two examples out of these two mistakes. I'm going to give you an example out of my life and how I handled it. So, as founder and former CEO of Trinity Fitness, I served as the CEO for 13 years in this faith-based gym that I started out of my garage, right behind this wall. In 2008, I started Trinity Fitness, and within 10 years, we had 18 locations across multiple states. And I loved it. There was a time when I thought, I'm going to do this for the rest of my life. But knowing what I know about leadership, in my early 20s, mid 20s, when I was studying leadership, I noticed that some leaders stay too long. I remember sitting in my chair and I prayed right there in my office. I said, God, if you ever have me in a leadership position, I promise you I will not stay too long, because I could see it doesn't go well for anybody. And I prayed that prayer. And that was brought back to me in 2020 when I got restless in my spirit. And this job as a CEO, this career, this passion, this mission, this thing that woke me up in the morning to reach people for Jesus through the platform of fitness, wasn't waking me up anymore. It was a shock to my soul because I didn't see it coming. And it's like, wow, what is this all about? I lost my vision. So my team was coming to me, because I'm a visionary. My team was coming to me going, hey, what are we doing? Where are we going? Where are we opening up next? And I had no answers. And I always remembered what Mark Batterson said. Mark Batterson is a pastor, author, speaker. And in one of his books, I think it was The Circle Maker, he said, change of pace plus change of place equals change of perspective. Sometimes you just need to get out of town. Sometimes you just need to get out of your normal routine and environment and go think. Get in a place and a space that allows you to just clear your head. And so I asked my board of directors and my leadership team, hey, told them what was happening. It's like, I lost my vision. I don't know what's going on. And they said, get out of town, go take a sabbatical. Actually took 6 weeks. It was a major decision that I was wrestling with in my life. On that sabbatical, because I was in a different place and pace, I thought more clearly. Didn't come to me right away. And I wasn't 100% sure. I don't know that a man is ever 100% sure. But Norman Schwarzkopf, he was an Army general, military general back in the 1990s, Desert Storm, Desert Strike. He said this. He said, most often, the great majority of the time, a man will say he's unsure, but deep down, the man knows what he needs to do. The question is, will he do it? Or will he allow complacency and comfort and playing it safe and laziness? Will he allow that to trump his life? So things like that, like Colin Powell, another great military leader, said, I never wait till I'm 100% sure, but I gather the intel and I get to be about 70 to 80% sure, then I pull the trigger and go. Because you can't wait until if you wait till you're 100% sure, the opportunities are going to pass you by. If you try and wait till you're 100% sure, you're going to be the leader that's hanging on too long. And although I didn't know what was next, I didn't know when your days would be the thing that I create next. I just knew on that sabbatical, that I was pretty sure that God was calling me on to go. So at that point, I knew it would be unfair for me to stay and that it would get messy for Trinity Fitness, the organization, the people, my leadership team. It wasn't going to go well if I hung on too long. So I came back and I told him, I said, yeah, it's my time to go. It's my time to go. Then mistake number two came into play. How are you going to leave as the leader? Particularly founders. And I was the founder, right? I'm the founder of Trinity Fitness. Founders have a tough time leaving, even a tougher time because it's their baby. It's the thing that they created. I will say this to you. I didn't have a tough time with that. Number one, I knew it was there. I knew that most leaders don't leave well. And I committed to the Lord that if I ever were to leave, I'm going to leave well because I want to honor my head coach. I want to honor the people. I want to honor the ministry. But I never considered Trinity Fitness mine. I always held it with an open hand. And my thought was that this is God's ministry. He started it. I'm just here to steward it. So when it was my time to stop stewarding it, it was easy. I've worked with a leadership team. I developed a leadership team, worked with them closely on a weekly basis. We all voted on the next CEO unanimously. We all knew who it was going to be. And then we set up a year-long succession plan. So it wasn't something like, okay, I knew it was my time to leave. Okay, I'm out of here. See you guys. That's no way to leave. The higher you are in the organization, the more involved you are in leading or developing, creating the very thing, the longer, by nature, the longer that transition needs to be. Transition means change, and people get anxious during change. Change oftentimes brings uneasiness, uncertainty, a lack of clarity. People don't know how are things going to turn out, what are things going to be like now, and so there's a heightened sense of anxiety. So as a leader, even though you're like, I know I'm supposed to be going, you got to sit in that and walk the team through the transition. That's a leader worth his salt. That's character, that's integrity, that's excellence, that's leadership. That year long, we set up that whole plan, and each quarter was a step down. Each quarter I would pass on responsibility, let go of some of my pay, and we would just work. We worked the whole year like that. I thought from where I sat, it was going painfully slow. But I would check in with my leaders. I was like, hey, how is the pace? Does this seem slow to you guys too? And they were like, no, this was perfect pace. We're going at the perfect pace. So it felt slow to me because I already knew I'm leaving, but I had to be very careful not to check out mentally and emotionally, stay fully engaged and finish the race strong. And so I just wanted to share that with you. I'm not saying, that's what I did. And those are the things that I noticed as a leader. And that's how I applied them to my life. And I can tell you this, here I am now over 3 years removed as the CEO of Trinity Fitness, and it is still going strong without me being involved. Gyms are opening up, thriving. I'm proud of that ministry. I'm proud of that leadership team. I'm cheering them on. I'm cheering you on in the game of life as a leader. You may not consider yourself as a leader, but I'm telling you, you're a leader. God has influence. He's built you to be a person of impact and influence on the playing field of life. I don't want you to forget that. Never forget that you're an athlete in the game of life. And it's the most significant stadium that you'll ever play in as a man, the stadium of your own life. Every day is game day, and how you play matters. People are watching you. I'm cheering you on. Go get them. Go win today.